Welcome to my channel. In this video today we'll be learning how I made this Bustier top. So let's get straight into it. This is the fabric I'll be using. I'll be using a Brocade fabric and I'll be making use of Dullface to line it. I'll also be using a wadding and Airstay. So the next thing we'll be doing is drafting out our pattern. It is an off-shoulder bustier, so I'll be removing 5 inches and I'll be marking out my bust point, under bust point and my waist point. That is where I want the tops to get to. So depending on how off you want your off shoulder to be, you could remove 6, you could remove 5.5, you could remove 4 inches depending on what you want to do. So this is me marking out the points. This is the bust point, under bust point and the waist point. So the next thing we'll be doing is to take our bust to bust measurements. You mark your bust to bust measurement on every line there. So you make sure you draw a straight line along the bust to bust measurement. So the next thing you will want to do is to take in the dart. So I'll be taking in 2 inches. You could take 2.5 depending on how cupped you want it to be. So I'll mark 0.75 on this side and the remaining 2 on the other side. This is me trying to curve it. I couldn't find my ruler, so I just had to use my free hand to curve it. So I'll be marking out the remaining 2 inches on the other side. So this is me marking out the remaining 2 inches on the other side. So then I'll draw it and also make a curve around it to touch the bust point. You make a curve around it to touch the bust point. So after that, we will be taking our dart on the shoulder too. So I'll be taking 1 inch, half on both sides, and I'll be connecting it down to the bust point. So you can see how it looks. It's already looking like a cup. So I'll input my normal body's measurement. I'm putting my bust measurement, my under bust measurement, and my waist point. I'll also be adding the 2 inches that I removed from the under bust. I'll be adding it back to my measurements. So I also added the 2 inches measurement back to my waist measurement, so as not to be short of measurements, because it can happen. So to get your shoulder measurement, if your shoulder is 15 like mine, you divide 15 by 2, that's 7.5, and then you subtract 2 from 7.5, that's 5.5. So that is how we get our shoulder measurement. So I added ½ inch and I also added the 1 inch that I removed from the shoulder as shoulder dart. So we just connect our lines using a ruler. You make sure you connect your lines well. So the next thing we'll be doing is to measure our neckline. So I used a neckline of 1.5. I wanted it to be 1.5 inches deep. So I just curve it and then cut it out. So that curving is just to give me a sweetheart neckline. So at the neckline, you can see that we have 6 inches, that is 5.5 for the shoulder, and ½ inches to join. So on the back pattern, we mark out the bust point and the waist point. I actually made a mistake by drawing out the under bust, although you can still draw out the under bust, but it's not actually needed. So on my pattern, I'll be marking out 2 inches from the top part to the bottom part. I'm marking out 2 inches for my zipper allowance, although I'll be using 1.5, but I just marked out 2 inches. So I'll be inputting my measurements, my bust measurement, my waist measurement also. So that is me just indicating that that is the bust line and the waistline. So the next thing I'll be doing now is to, from the bust line, I come in by 0.5 inches. I come in by 0.5 inches and I will shape it down. This is because our back is not straight. So to avoid bulging, this actually saves to avoid bulging at the back, like when your zip is coming out. So this actually makes the zip straight at the back. So now I'll now just take my measurement, that is the 1.5. I'll measure the 1.5 from top to bottom, so you can see the slant. So that slant will enable it to be flat at the back. So I'll just take in my, I'll take the 0.75 also, 0.5 also on the bust line, so as to avoid shorting in measurements. You can see what I did there. So the 0.5 that you removed from the waist, from the bust point, that's what you add back at the other side. At this point, I just come down by ½ inch and draw my neckline. I'm sorry for the lines because they are not straight. That's because I'm not using a ruler. So this is my pattern, the front and the back pattern. So on the front pattern, I'll be making, I don't want a full padding, so I just want the pad and the wording to be around that line, that bust line. So I'll be cutting out my wording, my lining and my Airstay. So I've already cut it out, and the next thing I'll be doing is to iron my wording and my Airstay together. So after that, you make sure to join. You can see that I've joined mine with the sewing allowance that I added. You make sure to join, and the next thing you do is to iron along the part using a bust arm. I also joined and ironed this strings that I'll be using as sleeves. So you can see that I've already ironed that part very well and is looking all fine and good. So if you iron that part well, it would be obvious at the front of the dress. So this is it. I've already ironed, I've already joined it, I've lined it also, and I've added the strings too. So this is how it looks like. This is the front, this is the back, this is the other back part. So next thing I'll be doing is joining it. I'll go to my machine and join the body. So you can see that I've joined it with the allocated allowances, and this is how it looks like. I've joined it. I've also given it a neat press. You can see how neat it is. Next thing I'll be doing is adding the zip and also closing the down part using my bias tape. So this is the end product of it. I've already taped the under part and I've also added my zip. You can see how easy it is. This is something you could use half or quarter a yard to make. So I hope you found this helpful. Please click on the like button, share and subscribe. Thank you.